This is from Pro Football Focus, midseason roster rankings, strength, weaknesses, and X factors for every starting lineup. So they have the Bills at 1, the Eagles at 2, Chiefs at 3, the Dolphins, who the Browns are playing, at 4, Ravens at 5. Browns are ranked 13th. Now, biggest strength, offensive line. Since 2020, Cleveland's offensive line, best run blocking grade in the NFL at almost 92, ranks third in pass protection at almost 81. Biggest weakness, interior defensive line. The Browns brought edge defender Jadeveon Clowney back on a one-year deal, but rank dead last with a 36.2 grade for their interior defender unit. I'm not sure how that equates, but maybe they're saying they could have signed a defensive tackle if they didn't bring Clowney back. X factor for the second half, Deshaun Watson. And I think that's a key. Again, I think I realize he hasn't played in a long time. I realize he looked not good in the preseason game. I don't think it's going to take him games to knock off the rust. It's going to take him a little bit to get back to game speed, but I think he'll get there reasonably quickly.
I would tend to agree. I just wonder if, let's say he gets comfortable by his second game in there. Is there still a play or two that he's hesitant? A read or two that if he were playing every week for the last 2 years, he would make, but he hesitates and either leads an incompletion or an interception, or just he doesn't throw it and he tucks it and runs, whatever. It might take longer. It might take all 6 weeks for him to get fully back to where he had been. But the Browns knew this to some degree, right? This is a long-term move by the Browns. It's not just about 2022, as hard as that is for some people to understand, and I get it because it's a full NFL season. I think it's bigger, but I tend to agree with you. I think he'll be fine in probably by the second or third game, be just about back to normal. But the overall roster thing is interesting. Before the season, I would have had the Browns ranked higher, but there's been positions. They mentioned D tackle. I think you can also look at linebacker, hasn't been super strong. Just particular guys, right, that haven't made the big jump, young guys. Maybe Grant Delpit. His JOK, I don't think he's played as well as people expected. The young receivers that you look at and go, okay, maybe this roster wasn't quite as strong as you thought before the season started.
Yeah, that's fair. Let me ask you this. Do you think injuries have played into it at all? And I bring it up because in talking about some of the guys that have missed, Walker, Phillips, you've had Garrett out. You haven't had your starting quarterback in Deshaun Watson because of a suspension. And I don't want to make excuses. Have injuries played a factor in that, do you think? And I know everybody has injuries.
Right. I mean, and that's the problem. Everybody does have them. I would say, Anthony Walker Jr. was a bigger loss than even I anticipated. And Jacob Phillips wasn't as good when he stepped in, and then I thought he started to play better, and then he gets hurt. Deion Jones played well the other night against the Bengals, but it's a big loss. It's a captain. It's a signal caller. I think he's a big one. And then, anytime Jadeveon Clowney's not on the field, and I know he's got an injury history, right? And last year when he played as many games as he played, that felt like a huge win for him and the team. But when he's out there, he makes a big difference, and he plays hard. Like, I rewatched that Bengals game, and he really plays hard when he's out there and when he's healthy. So if he's back to himself over the final 9 games, I do think that's a big part of this defense continuing to play well like it has the last 2 weeks.